is No Accident Podcast. I'm your host, Maritza Perez. Our guest today is a leadership development and company culture consultant, helping today's leaders build and thrive a thriving team. With over a decade of experience as a company culture, employee engagement, and team building consultant, Jessper Maquindang has mastered transforming workplace environments, graduating from the University of South California with an executive master's degree in leadership. Holistic, data-driven approach addresses unique challenges. He's received Santa Clarita Valley's only 40 under 40 award for leadership contributions and served the GCI Junior Chamber International USA's executive board, mentoring young leaders, and also Jesper has many achievements, which include enhanced engagement, facilitating impactful retreats, and providing executive coaching. But beyond his professional pursuits, he is an avid 15-time marathon runner, business book reader, and traveler. His commitment extends to voluntary work with the American Red Cross, building resilient communities. Jesper, welcome. It is an honor to have you with us today.
Maritza, good morning from Los Angeles. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be with you today.
I am very happy with you today, too. I am very excited about our topic today. But before we get to that, Jesper, will you please tell us what is your accent and why it's not an accident?
So, for my accent, as I think about it, there's a reminder that I carry around with me, and it's a powerful reminder of what my accent is, and it's growing up with asthma. It's growing up with obstacles, growing up being treated differently, and growing up having more questions than answers. But as I got older, I realized it's not the story I wanted to end with. And then, as throughout time, and what inspired me, I noticed that in the world of athleticism and marathon runners, I was just really excited about what they do. And I told myself, that's something I'm going to add to my list. And I added it to my bucket list because I wanted to show myself that I could go beyond, above and beyond my limits. And then over time, I took it step by step. And then when I finally reached that finish line, I finally proved to myself that I can get to that level. So growing with asthma, maybe it's been a blessing in disguise because it's taught me to really focus on goals, and you can really achieve what you set your mind to it. So as far as, overcoming those challenges, that's my accent.
And I love that. I am a fellow asthmatic. And back in the day, I used to run every day as well. But the one thing about you was that I read was that you went ahead and said, I'm going to train myself to overcome the shortness of breath. Let's talk a little bit about that. How was that process?
Absolutely. In the beginning, absolutely scary because you have this real health issue facing directly. But I knew that it was not going to be an overnight achievement. This was going to take time, just like anything in life, any big uh, accomplishments, major goals. It's going to take time. And that's exactly what I did. I set up a routine where I did a small part day by day and then worked my way up. So, for example, in my running journey, I started with a 5K. And of course, there were some challenges there, but I took my time getting there. Moved up to a 10K, then a half, and then to the full. And of course, many challenges along the way, but I realized take it step by step, take a deep breath. No need to rush the process, but if you stay and really set your mind to it, you'll reach to that major goal.
And this is amazing. This is even before you started your career as a leadership development consultant. This is back in high school or earlier, right?
I believe I started well, I did enjoy start running in high school, but I believe after graduating from college is where I really started my serious marathon journey.
with your marathon journey. And this past weekend, you completed the number 15, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, in Alaska. And speaking of which, I finally reached all 50 states in accomplishing that goal. So all
Yes,
50 states and 15th marathon. But it was a big weekend
awesome.
for me, but
Yes,
it's been awesome.
I love that. I love that. And I am celebrating with you because we have talked before, and you have told me maybe by the time that we have the interview, I'm gonna have complete the 50 states.
Finally did it.
And yes, and you did it. That's amazing. But this is what a leader personality will show in these cases. It shows your heart, your charisma. So transferring that, so you show early in your life you have skills and you were passionate about leadership, and that leadership starts with you and being a leader in your own life. So I you are way better about it than me to talk about how to build that leadership skills within you.
Absolutely. So leadership discovery within me. It was an interesting journey actually, because my mother shared a memory of me in my early days, and I don't even remember about that memory, but she shared it with me a few years ago. And that memory was when I was maybe about 5. I said, when I grow up, I want to be a leader. When I grow up, I want to be a leader. Now, if you think about that, at age 5 or 6, that's really neat for a young child to say that. But if you
Yes.
really dig deeper and reflect on it, how does a 5 or 6 year old know about leadership? It's such an advanced topic for someone that age. It just doesn't come easily to someone, in their
No.
childhood. But for some reason, that that insight just came to me at that age. But over time, I realized that many opportunities in leadership fell into my lap. Growing up, I was always encouraged to help nonprofits, volunteer, the hours to help out others. And then when I got into college, I was involved in extracurricular activities like student government and new student orientation, were helping new students understand more about the campus. And then when I graduated, my first job right out of college was I was actually promoted to a leadership role. And that gave me the opportunity to really lead a team firsthand. And we just experimented with so many ideas, and I was inspired by what I did. I went back to school to get my executive master's degree in leadership. And then I just kept learning more and more about the best practices. And then after graduating with my master's degree, I landed into a management development program for a Fortune 500 company. So all uh, insights and perspectives and experience, as I reflect on it, I have both a academic background and corporate background in leadership. So what leadership means to me is finding these opportunities to learn, grow, and use that learning and growing to help others. And as far as really developing that leadership, for leaders to really become better versions of themselves, it's all about, I would say, at the core, active listening. Because a leader, when we think about it, a lot of leadership, they think that, oh, you just get in front of people and you just bark orders. Jessper, do this, Jessper, do that. And then you're realizing that it burns people out. It's not just about barking orders, and it's actually not about barking orders at all.
Yeah.
It's about giving other people the opportunity to share what's on their mind. Maritza, we have a new project coming out. What are your ideas to make this a success? Maritza, we have a new task that we have to do each day. What ideas do you have to get more efficient? So really, for a leader to be more effective, it's about that active listening and giving other people the opportunity to say, hey, I have this new perspective that I'd like to share because I think it would move things forward in a better way. Because if you don't listen to other people and give them that voice, you're going to have that one perspective. And when you have this one perspective and only one perspective, it's only going to lead you in one direction. And you never know how that's going to turn out. But if you're giving everyone that opportunity to really share their perspectives, you're looking at multiple options, multiple ways of going forward and multiple ways to fight. And then the other things for an effective leader is that advocate. And what I mean by that is not necessarily a cheerleader where we say, oh, you can do it. But in a sense, you still want to be that person to say, Maritza, I believe in you. We have this upcoming project or challenge that's in our hands, but I know you can do it because you have the experience. And I know you've done something similar before, but so I believe in you. Let's work on this together. So it's really a sense of active listening, giving other people that opportunity to share what's on their mind, and being that supporter, being that leader who says, do this, I believe in you, let's work together, we can achieve great things.
Listen to that. So advocate is very interesting. I love it because right now when we are in a world where we are creating division and we are creating there are so many divisions that are created out there. It is important that the leader becomes an advocate for each one of the team members. I totally agree with you. And then let's talk about this. So, what are the responsibilities of an actual leader that is leading people?
That's right. So for a leader, it's to provide that sense of belonging, that sense of community, that sense of inclusion, especially as we move past the pandemic. We've seen what the pandemic has done to society, and it's really divided people. I mean, in the workplace, at home, it's it's provided a sense of isolation because when we were in the height of the lockdowns, no one was going out. No one was getting that opportunity to really walk to someone else's cubicle or walk to someone else's house and just check in and say hello. But with the pandemic, it's really added to that sense of disconnectedness. So I would say a leader's major responsibility is to be intentional about restoring that sense of community. Because I know, especially in the workplace and in society, when you bring people together, you're bringing a higher sense of engagement and satisfaction amongst the people who are there. And then on the other hand, if they still feel isolated and lonely, you're going to see this sense of disengagement, this sense of unhappiness, this sense of satisfaction. So it is very crucial for this leader to bring back and restore this sense of belonging and community into the world.
Exactly, that is so important. The belonging, the sense of feeling part of the community, part of that team, feel that they are included in the conversations. There are many times when only one person has the skills to do something in a specific in a project, but it doesn't mean that the whole team is not invited to jump in and give ideas.
That's right. And that reminds me of a previous conversation we had. And you had mentioned something about the purpose of humanity is love. And then I would draw parallels and say leadership is love. Not in the sense that a leader has to marry everyone in the world, but in the sense that a
Exactly.
leader promotes that those relationships, those health relationships, in where everyone is promoting this sense of growth and development within themselves and others, seeing other people succeed. Because when you're promoting this sense of love, again, not in the marriage sense, but love as in everyone should work together and really uh, find ways to succeed as a collective, this brings more opportunities for everyone to succeed together. So leadership is love.
Exactly. Leadership is love, and this opens up a conversation that I absolutely love. And sometimes, I when I was younger, when I was only in my early 30s, I used to say, you have to do what you love and love what you do. You have to do what you love and love what you do. And today I'm in my 50s, and I say, no, you have to show up with love. Everything else will be taken care of.
That's right. Especially in today's world where you're seeing, as you mentioned, this division and this disconnectedness. But when a leader, and again, with leadership, you don't need a title to be a leader. Anyone can be a leader. And I would take it a step further and say everyone should be a leader. And again, with or without that title, it's everyone's responsibility to really extend your hand and bring that sense of belonging, peace, and love into the world.
Exactly. It's everyone has the responsibility to be the leader of themselves, and to have that sense of belonging inside out. When we are talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, people say, well, it comes from outside, from others to me. No, it comes from you to others. So it comes from home. It really doesn't grow up in the workplace. Now, if you didn't have that, then the workplace is is kind of in charge of shaping that part of you, and raising the hand and saying, hey, no, red flag there. We don't do that here. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, it is a big topic in humanity. It is like a way to shake the culture, but the culture of humanity, not only in the workplace, it has to happen everywhere. It's starting from your home.
That is correct, especially in the world of diversity, equity, and inclusion. As it relates to leadership, leaders have a major responsibility in embracing it. Diversity, it's not a formula that magically just appears out of nowhere. We have to be intentional about promoting and embracing that message. So, for example, I'll use the workplace. When a leader is working with a diverse team, that leader should not take that for granted and just sit back and say, oh, we have a diverse team. It's going to be magic. All I can do is sit back and just watch the magic just flow, and we'll see how it goes. This is going to be easy. No, for a leader, they have to be intentional. They have to make sure voice is heard. Because if you're leaving a team, even if it is diverse, and if you're just leaving it on its own, it's not going to maximize its full potential unless the leader steps in and say, everyone, Maritza, Jessper, I'm glad you're here. We do have a team with such diverse experiences, backgrounds, personalities. Let's find ways to work together and find ways to really overcome any obstacles we face and any challenges, and really discover, based on our strengths, how we can pull together and make great things happen.
Exactly. And that is what you are an expert on. You help leaders recognize the strengths on those team members with data driven. How can we measure that? Give me an example.
Absolutely. So for my work, I have assessments that have an actual metric and quantitative measures, because I know in the world of culture, there are people who say, oh, it's just touchy-feely, happy, joy. What's the benefit? Everyone's just giving high fives and hugs. No, culture is more than just pizza parties. Culture is much more than bring your dogs to work day. Culture is much more than casual Friday. It's really understanding the value, the mission, and the vision of the company, and if it really aligns with what your executives and what your employees stand for. So with my work, we will measure these different attributes to see, is your organization standing up for what it believes in? For example, you're saying that your organization values uh, dedication, and then we'll look around the organization to see specific examples. Okay, are your employees and executive team really expressing that dedication to the extent that you made it to be? And then we'll see these other factors to see if it's really for what you're saying uh, you want for your organization. Because if there's a mismatch, then we can bring that out. Because what we want to have in an effective culture is to ensure that everyone is on the same page. Because when everyone's on a different page, there's confusion, there's just chaos, and people just trying to figure out what to do next. But when everyone is clear on the same page and knows what to do next, it'll make everyone's day much easier. So as far as my work, it's all about measuring what we can measure because, as I mentioned before, culture is more than pizza parties. It's more than bring your dogs to work day, and it's more than casual Fridays. It's really aligning your culture or aligning your vision, mission, and purpose to ensure that it really fits well for everyone in the organization.
Hi, I'm very happy to know you are here watching our podcast today. It is an honor to be featuring so many entrepreneurs on the journeys of their inside voice, their accent that is not an accident. And we want to reach out more people like you who are creating a better world of diversity, inclusiveness, equity, and belonging. So please take a moment to hit the subscribe button below, like, and share to others. And even if you want to leave a comment, that'll be nice. Thank you for your support. And now back to the episode.
And I love this way that you mentioned that culture is more than just having fun days, because sometimes we don't have fun days. Sometimes we might lose one of our team members due to an illness or an accident or something like that. Culture is not only about fun days and having like the party and celebrating. I remember I was in charge in one of the jobs that I had. I was in charge to put together all the events, and I had to celebrate mom's birthday. And it was like I feel like we are partying all the time. So we decided to do it bi-monthly, um, because it was too much. Like people were like, there was no more the sense of, oh yeah, let's celebrate. It was like another cake, So we want to make sure that we are able to provide a culture that allows everybody to be together. Also, there are religions that do not celebrate birthdays. So if we are always at lunchtime there in the in the conference room, but there are a couple of people that are not because they don't celebrate birthdays. So we need to find ways to come all together. Like you say, the leader is in charge of putting the community together and recognize each person's values, and be a listener. So it is incredible. The other question that came up as I was asking you this question was, many people think that holistic management, and I wanted to ask you this for so long. I think I already had previously when we had one of our talks. They think holistic management is about crystals and yoga and things like that. That is not holistic management. Will you mind to give us a little explanation of what holistic management is?
Yes, in terms of my work, holistic management, as you mentioned, it's not about that healing area, that energy. For holistic management in the corporate sense, it means that everything is connected to one another. The decisions you make, the processes you put together, the systems you have in place, everything is connected in some way. So if a project is not working as well as it should be, a leader should be looking around the organizational processes to see what is really going wrong. Because a project, it's not a project isolated on its own. It's connected to something else in the organization, just like everything else. Is it an employee? Is it another task before that needed to be completed? Is it another project that needed to be completed? All of these are connected. So as far as holistic, that leader needs to be aware and conscious that everything in the process is connected to everything else, and find ways to optimize and make everything more efficient. Because when you work on that, you're making everything else more optimized and efficient. So again, as far as being holistic, it's understanding that everything in the organization is connected to each other.
The company, the department, the team, in lieu of, let's go all do yoga and meditations.
It's
And
it's a great part of well-being, but as far as holistic and in the corporate sense, it's understanding the connectedness.
exactly. Now, when it comes to the sense of belonging, in a world that has come separated, how can a leader help someone that is not feeling welcome by others in the team?
Yes, actually, that question has been coming up more and more, especially as we go past the pandemic, because, as I mentioned, there has been a sense of feeling isolated, and it's more common in remote workers. So I'll first relate it to the remote and hybrid world, and then I'll bring it to a general sense. So in the remote and hybrid world, people aren't in the office as much as they used to be. Before the pandemic, there was still remote and hybrid work, telecommuting. It existed, but with the pandemic coming, it's just really intensified this effect in the workplace. So pre-pandemic, it was so easy for us to just step out of our cubicle. I can go to your desk, Maritza, and say, Maritza, how are you? How was your day? And nowadays, when we're looking at the more remote and hybrid world, it's not the same. We're on Zoom, and I can't really just step out of my office and magically just walk to your desk and check in. With remote and hybrid, leaders need to be more intentional about checking in with their team. And what I mean by check in, I don't expect, leaders and managers should check in with their employees, not for the sake of checking in on their status of their projects or tasks. It's in to see how their employees are doing. Give them a call, schedule a Zoom meeting. It does not have to be formal. It does not have to be 30 minutes long. It can be a quick 5-minute check-in. Pick up the phone. Maritza, how are you? Haven't heard from you in about a few hours. Just want to make sure your Friday was going well. These are the conversations that leaders and managers should have with their employees, being more intentional and deliberate. And as far as bringing this sense of belonging in a general sense, teams are very important in today's work world, because as projects become more sophisticated and complex, people really need to work together. So leaders have to be intentional about finding ways for employees really come together and collaborate. So an example could be having some quick icebreakers or quick team building activities to really provide those opportunities for employees to interact with each other more. Because without this sense of teamwork, again, you're going to have employees, team members who feel isolated. And when they're isolated, that passion and engagement is not there, and they're not going to put their best foot forward. So on the other hand, if you are a leader who is putting in that time and effort to ensure team members really see each other, and I don't mean see as in visual, but see as in understanding each other's values, it's really going to supercharge the team into working better together.
I love the way that you put it, that leaders have to see each other's values, because it's very important to understand that belonging starts with one hello in the morning. But also, as the day goes by, just to cheer up, like, oh, thank you, I got your email. Thank you so much for finishing that. That's it. One of the things that in my company, I have is not a struggle, but one of the things that we have found out, or is that sense of we are a team. It is incredible, but you have to actually teach people we are a team. You are not alone. We are working remotely, but raise your hand if you need help. It is incredible that you actually need to train people on this.
I like how you brought that insight, especially in today's work world, especially in the world of remote and hybrid, where people feel like they're on their own, doing their own work because they're sitting in front of their computer by themselves. But when you remind them that, hold on, Maritza, you're part of a team, there's other people who are working on the same project as you, let's all work together because this organization is finding ways to innovate. And if you're sitting behind your laptop, just in your own world and just so focused, you miss the big picture that you did have other people by your side the whole time. So this sense of connectedness, belonging, reminding that there is a team. Leaders have that opportunity to really inspire that. Leaders should be intentional and deliberate about reminding their team that they are a team. They're not isolated individuals just working on their own projects. They're all working together on really shared goals that are moving the organization forward. So that was an excellent insight.
Yes, it is incredible. But yes, as humans, we used to say, no, I'll get everything. I will get done. I will get it done by myself. No, you don't have to. You have a team. You can raise your hand and ask for help.
That's right. Especially, as more people are working together, there's always that opportunity to provide that support. And then I know that individualistic mindset, I understand where it's coming from. People want to feel strong. And when they can accomplish so many things on their own, that gives them that feeling of strength. The problem is when they're doing so many things on their own, they're going to feel burned out, overwhelmed because they're doing everything on their own. But if they remember that they are part of a community, part of a team, part of something greater than them, and can share that work with others, you're lightening your load and you're increasing your well-being. And that's that peace of mind from understanding that there are other people by your side. That just inspires more satisfaction in the work you do.
Yes, that is true. We are getting to the end of our conversation. And before we do that, I would like to give you the opportunity to talk to our audience and tell them how they can find you, where they can find you.
Yes. So 2 ways. The first way, my website, familyconsulting.com. And when you go on my website, there is a free assessment called Behavioral Elements. And what that means is it gives you an opportunity to understand what drives you and your behavior as far as a leader and manager. So for that assessment, there are 4 elements, fire, air, water, and earth. So for example, the fives are the leaders and managers who are inspired by competition, not in a bad sense, but competition because it really excites them. So let's say you have a sales team manager who is a fire. You give them a sales goal of making 100 calls. They'll tell you, Maritza, only 100? I can make 200 calls. Just watch me. So they're inspired by that. Next up is the air. These are the leaders who are inspired by creativity and brainstorming. There's a metaphor that you would throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. This is what inspires the airs. Next up is the water. These are the leaders who are by the relationships in the workplace. They value the friendships and the bonds they make with the people they work with. And then lastly, it's earth. And these are the leaders and managers who appreciate process and structure because when everything is in place and organized, they understand that everything is going to run more smoothly. So these are the 4 elements. Every person has all these 4 elements in one form or another, but one will be more dominant. So the free assessment will give you that understanding of your dominant element. And then the other way to reach me is through LinkedIn. Search for Jessper Maquindang. I'm excited to have conversations about leadership, personal growth, professional development. Feel free to reach out. I'm just excited to have those types of conversations. So LinkedIn, Jessper Maquindang.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And then what are the type of companies that you work with?
So for me, it is professional services. So we're looking at healthcare, finance, and anything with a corporate space that really gives an opportunity for leaders and managers to understand how they can lead teams within their offices. And then that also includes remote and hybrid, and especially people who want to work with the teams they have and improve their effectiveness.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jesper, for this time. So we got a lot of topics like covered today. We talk about effective leadership and the core strengths to be active listening and being an advocate to your team members. We said that the leader responsibilities are to provide sense of community, passion, and inclusivity, to be intentional about what is the community and what stores in that community, make engagement with your team members, and be the keeper of the community. Make sure that they are all included and they have a sense of belonging. We said that everyone is a leader and not only your manager. We also said that DEI is not a formula that appears out of anywhere by Jessper Maquindang. That's your quote of today. And when a leader is working with a diverse team, do not take it for granted. Make sure that you are sync with all of them and everybody is in sync among each others. And as a leader, again, be intentional and make everybody be heard, every voice be heard. We also talk about the definition of holistic management, that is the sense of collective, the sense of community. And check with your employees and make sure they are doing well. Is there anything that you would like to add at the end, or final thought?
Absolutely. First off, Maritza, that was a well said summary. Really appreciate the way you put everything together. The first thing I'd like to share is a math formula. I know our listeners weren't ready for some math, but this is very valuable in really building a stronger organization. And it's dreaming plus doing equals innovating. So for dreaming, I encourage you and your team to come up with so many ideas that you in just being creative, because the most dangerous words in an organization is we've always done it that way. We've always done it that way. That is so dangerous in an organization. And when you and your team are dreaming and putting new ideas up there, you're giving yourself opportunities to really change that. And then take action. Whatever ideas you come up with, make sure you're making the steps to really accomplish that. And when you're dreaming and doing, put that together, you're taking your organization to new heights, new levels. You're overcoming challenges, because in today's fast-paced world, you really need to move at a fast pace. And when you're dreaming, doing, you're coming up with new ideas, you're taking action in them, you're innovating, you're putting yourself at the front of the line. And the second thing I'd like to share is a quote from John Maxwell, and he shared that helping others grow and develop brings great joy, satisfaction, and energy. And I'll share that again. Helping others grow and develop brings great joy, satisfaction, and energy. So when you go out there and help others win, you'll really feel that higher sense of life satisfaction. So go out there and help others grow and develop.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much, Jesper. This was phenomenal, and I hope everyone out there listening will get their notes all done. If not, look at the summary. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Maritza. It was great to join you today.
Thank you, everybody, for being here with us today. And remember, we are here because the greatest source, God, the universe, brought us here with love, to be loved and love one another. Thank you, and until next time, bye.
Hi, it's Maritza here. If you like this episode of My Accent is No Accident podcast and would like to listen more like this, subscribe wherever you're listening to it or watching it. Leave us a nice review and share with your friends, family, and network. Thanks for listening.